스스로 정리하는 차원에서 그 기조 그 발표를 해주신 린다 제를리 교수님과 그리고 그 세계 여성연구소 대표이신 조하오 최신링 교수님들 그리고 조지현 교수님께서 네 분이 일종의 좀 라운드 테이블처럼 정리하시는 그런 말씀을 나누도록 하겠습니다.
I don't have a speech, so I don't have a speech. I think that what I want to say is there are a lot of things that came out during this conference. I mean, one thing that's perfectly clear to me is that we still need feminism. All right? I mean, in other words, there are still so many problems in this world that women face. We still need feminism. We also still need gender as an analytic category. I will make that argument, although I'm very open to hearing what people have to say about that. It's just, I think we need to be thinking about gender differently than we've thought about it in the past, but the idea that we live in some kind of post-feminist or post-gender sort of society for me is fully bankrupt. And I've dealt with this a lot in my teaching over the last 30 years, where there's been a sense that, you know, feminism has more or less achieved everything that feminism can achieve. So why do we even need women's studies anymore, for example? Why do we need gender and sexuality studies? It's all already been done. And I think that this is, I mean, what this conference has shown is that, A, that's absolutely not true, because all of the problems that were discussed at the conference demonstrate it's not true. But more than that, I think it really shows us that we need a different language for talking about the necessity of feminism. And let me explain what I mean. One of the problems I think we face, which is why we've gotten into this state where people talk about post-feminism, we live in a post-feminist age, or it's like a post-gender age, is because we've tended to think about the problems that gender presents for us in our society in terms of changes in law. And one of the real difficulties we face today is that we don't have the same kinds of obstacles that women faced in the past, where, you know, you get the 2 columns in the newspaper, women apply for those jobs, men apply for those jobs, or where women are just, you know, legally paid less money than men. I mean, they're still paid less money than men, but presumably they can go to court and sue on that basis. So a lot of the formal discrimination against women has been dealt with, presumably, right? I mean, we have equality under law. I'm speaking now in the United States. I'm not making claims to all these other societies that are represented here, but I think it's mostly true. And so consequently, but we know that even with that formal equality under law, we still have tremendous economic, social, and cultural inequality. And within the terms of liberalism, I'm going to leave neoliberalism on the side for a moment. Within the terms of liberalism, I think it's unbelievably difficult to articulate what oppression, discrimination, and inequality really look like when it's not a matter of law. Because at that point, it seems to devolve onto the problem of the individual. In other words, there are no real doors that are closed to you in terms of formal discrimination. Therefore, if you don't make the best of the opportunities that are available to everyone now, regardless of gender or sex, that's your problem. And it seems to me that that's one of the real difficulties of the feminist movement today, is how to articulate a different kind of politics that is sensitive to those forms of oppression and discrimination that are not simply formal legal forms of discrimination and oppression. That to me is the big challenge. And that has always been the big challenge, in fact. A second thing, I guess sort of warning just in like listening to the conference here, a lot of the papers, is that the word neoliberalism is thrown around a lot. And I've sort of reached a point where I don't even know what is meant by that anymore. I have a lot of colleagues at the University of Chicago talk about neoliberalism. neoliberalism is often trotted out as a term that we're all supposed to understand, and that it's the cause of all that, you know, ails us. I think this is highly problematic for several reasons. One is, if we're using the term neoliberalism and thinking about it in relation to feminism, we have to be thinking, well, first of all, how is neoliberalism different from liberalism? And what do we even mean by liberalism, right? Because there's a lot of continuity here between liberalism and neoliberalism. Secondly, that I think we have to be careful not to turn neoliberalism into a system that has a kind of, how should I put it, sort of automatic logic, that it just is, you know, unstoppable in some way. I mean, it's that neoliberalism just brings with it a kind of fatalism. And this is, you know, it just gobbles everything up. And I see this in a lot of the work that's done today in feminist studies. People use the term neoliberalism as if it just explained everything, as if it were just taking over everything, etc. And that seems to me very problematic, because that's the way in which, you know, in the past we talked about, for example, patriarchy as some kind of gigantic system that has these, you know, systemic effects that are the same across the globe. And that's the way neoliberalism gets treated today too. And I think that that's just not the case. I mean, the effects of neoliberalism, whatever that is, and have to be understood in very specific regional country, contextualized, in other words, right? There is no thing called neoliberalism as far as I'm concerned. I want to resist that. What's the other point that I want to, I had one more thing to talk about. Yeah, the other question that remained really for me from this conference, as much as I loved listening to all the different examples, really, of the forms of oppression and discrimination across different countries, I didn't always get a strong sense of where the feminist politics piece of it was. I mean, in other words, what did it mean to actually organize politically around these issues? So even if we take something like on the last panel, which I found super interesting, the question of like fan culture or whatever, I mean, I completely agree that, you know, we should be looking at forms of media and popular culture as potential sources of political mobilization. But the question of, you know, how do those kinds of communities then become forms of political mobilization? What's the difference between just having communities and having forms of political mobilization? I think we need to be thinking more clearly about how that actually happens. So I'd like to see more discussion of how politics can happen, how feminist politics can happen today across national boundaries. I mean, I thought that this conference was going to be more about that, and it wasn't as much about that as I thought it would be. So maybe we can think further about that question.
Thank you. I do not have much to add, especially in terms of the content of the conference. I would like to just echo back to the talk that Professor Zerilli and Professor Joo-hyun gave yesterday morning about feminist methodology and feminist dialogues, and the urgent need for looking for new paradigms and radical imagination, right? So we need to remember that feminism has given us a space to have that freedom, to have that imagination. So go for it, push for it, and be daring. And I have to say, as much as I enjoyed learning from the other papers, I was most animated by the last, because there was the speaking to and speaking back. Because that is key, I think, to the development of feminism. And I I want us to remember that speaking to and speaking back is a necessary process, and don't be afraid to speak back and forth, non-stop. I know that she was trying to stop us. But this is an essential process, and I hope that we can actually magnify that in our future pursuits. And don't be afraid to go to places where they think that you're not serious, you're not dealing with the right subject or the proper subject, whether it's fandom, whether it's sex work, or things that don't even have a name. Explore those spaces, because that's where we can have radical imagination. So thank you.
Okay. It's my turn. The first two professors Zerilli and CHENG just summarize it in academically, but for me, for the feminist, I'm just a freshman. So I'll say I should at first I should want to say thank you. Thanks Professor Cho and her team to organize this conference so greatly, and thanks any other presenters that give me many knowledges about feminists, so that I'm educated now. And the third is for the audience that you are keeping here and stay here. I'm sure you can, just as me, you can get much knowledge from this presentation. It's thanks. And second, I just want to summarize this conference as a multiple. Not only even though the topic is just female. The future of the feminist political. In this conference there are so many topics from every research field and from the scholars from all over the world and from the other university in Korea. And multiple discipline and multiple methodology, just like the Professor Zerilli just hope to construct a theoretical framework for the for feminist politics, and just a case study and quantitative research is multiple methodologies, so that I think it's a multiple is very important. However, I have 2 points that I want to say. First is that I hope the sex ratio of the participants in this conference could be changed in the future. Now it's just me here, and so maybe I think a feminist not only for the female, but not only for the male, but for society. We should let the society to know and to understand what we are fighting for. So that maybe is important to change the participants' sex structure. Sorry, maybe. Another question or another point is that I hope we can, combine the methodological, quantitative and qualitative methodological just combined into one research, so that we can know not only the detailed process of one event or history event, but also we can describe the whole society and to make a comparison between the several societies. Maybe it's just, it's very important, not only we can use the universal rules or universal process, but also we can find the different culture, different effects of culture and cultural history to the feminist development in the future. So finally, is welcome. I hope in the near future we can meet in Beijing, and welcome to Beijing and welcome to Peking. Thank you.
제 1분만 하고 여러분들 질문 있으면 듣고 싶다고 그러시니까 제가 1분만 하도록 하겠습니다. 우선 첫 번째로는 우리 목표가 굉장히 비슷한 것 같지만 각자가 포지션이 조금씩 다 달라요. 그런데 이 학술대회의 가장 큰 의미는 각자가 다른 포지션을 갖고 있는 사람이 모여서 자기가 무엇을 생각하는지 의견을 말하고 다른 사람의 의견을 들으면서 어디에 차이가 있고 우리가 어느 방향으로 나가야 될지를 조정할 수 있는 그런 공간, 장을 만들었다는 것이 결론을 얻지 못했다 하더라도 우선 그것이 가장 큰 의미가 있다라고 생각이 들고요. 저랑 이제 관련해서는 지금 이제 아고니즘 정치가 이제 질문들도 많이 나오고 했는데 경험적으로 한국의 아고니즘 정치의 한 예로 한 예를 좀 들어보고 끝내도록 하겠습니다. 2004년까지 한국에서는 성매매는 불법, 그러니까 이거는 말하자면은 여성에게 최악의 범죄라고 생각했습니다. 그래서 성매매는 금지해야 된다고 생각했고, 성매매 여성은 절대적으로 억압의 어떤 결과라고 생각을 했고, 이것은 성매매 여성을 딱히 만나지 않아도 연구자들이 이미 완전히 확연된 이론과 개념과 관점을 갖고 있었던 논리였어요. 그러니까 이 성매매 여성들을 이렇게 거기서 벗어나게 하는 것 외에는 아무런 대안이 있을 수 없다고 생각한 것이 2004년도까지의 얘기였어요. 근데 2004년도에 성매매 특별법이 만들어지고 난 다음에 성매매 여성들이 3,000명이 거리로 나와서 시위를 합니다. 그러면서 우리는 여성 활동가들 필요 없다. 우리가 원하는 것은 그것이 아니다. 라는 이제 시위를 하게 되면서 이것이 성매매 여성들이 정말 원하는 목소리인가 아니면 뒤에서 포주가 그렇게 하라고 한 것인가 논쟁이 있었지만 역사상 성매매 여성들이 집단적으로 거리로 나와서 시위를 한 것은 한국 역사상 처음 있었던 일입니다. 2004년이에요. 근데 그때 무슨 일이 생겼냐 하면 너무나 자신만만하게 성매매 여성들은 어떤 삶에 있고 이들을 우리가 구출해야 된다고 생각했던 여성 활동가들, 페미니스트 액티비스트들이 이 성매매 여성들을 만나면서 이 사람들과 얘기를 하고 이 사람들을 지원하는 과정에서 관점이 조정되게 됩니다. 그래서 그 이후로 성매매 여성들에 대한 여성 페미니스트들의 접근 방법이 세 가지로 나뉘어지게 돼요. 그러니까 말하자면 정책 중심적으로 성매매를 정책으로 미리 정한 옳은 것은 무엇이다. 법에 의해서 정의에 의해서 옳은 것은 무엇이다라고 미리 정해놓고 그 다음에 성매매 여성 문제를 접근하는 방식하고 아래로부터 실제로 삶을 살고 있는 성매매 여성들의 삶을 보면서 이들의 말을 듣고 물론 이들의 말을 그대로 따르는 게 아니라 너네들이 성매매 여성으로서 어떤 문제를 느끼는데 그렇지만 너네들이 생각하지 못한 이런 부분이 있다라는 대화를 통해서 조정하면서 다른 제3의 방안을 찾아나가려고 하는 말하자면 맥락 안에서 밑에서부터 대안을 찾아나가려고 하는 움직임이 생기게 됐어요. 물론 그게 주류를 이루는 건 아니지만 말하자면 그것이 바로 예를 들면 아고니즘 정치의 한 예라고 할 수 있습니다. 미리 정해진 기준에 따라서 운동을 절차적으로 가는 것이 아니라 관련된 사람들끼리 서로의 의견을 들어보면서 서로 조정해서 최선의 합의점을 찾아 나가려고 하는 방식이죠. 그랬을 때 아고니즘 정치가 잘 된다는 9시에 나가야 됩니다. 예, 나가야 됩니다. 그러면 저는 여기서 끝내도록 하겠고요. 혹시 한 2명만 질문을 받도록 하겠습니다. 혹시 질문이 있으시면 저기 질문이 안 됩니다. 질문 안 되고요.
시간이 지금 빨리 동대구역으로 떠나셔야 돼가지고
네.
아쉽지만
네.
저녁 시간이 우리가 있으니까
그러면
학생분께서
1분만
예.
1분만 제릴리 교수님이 한 말씀. 그러면 준비해 준 사람들 물었을 때 감사의 말씀.
말씀드렸고요. 자 그러면 너무 감사드립니다. 급하게 해야 되니까 제가 정신이 없는데요. 그러면 이것으로 2016년 계명대학교 여성연구소 국제학술대회를 마치도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.